In my 4.5 bin, I'm just going to load the Ovens of Cappoquin pre-move sequence. And the sequence is coming along pretty well. As you can see, I have made quite a few more edits in this section of the show. Things are in pretty good shape, but I think there are a few shots that I need to move around, and I also think I'd like to create some space in between some of my shots so I can let the sequence breathe a little bit. Let's take a look at how to do both. First, I just want to create some space at the very beginning of this sequence. I think we'll be starting out with some nice shots of fresh baked bread over some Irish music, rather than going straight into the interviews. So let's move everything down. This is a short sequence, so it's pretty easy for me to actually just lasso everything and then move it over like so. However, if I have a really long sequence, that's not as easy. So let me undo that and show you a really useful tool, and that is this button over here, the Track Select Forward tool, keyboard shortcut A. So if I press A, then wherever I click on selected tracks, that is going to select that clip and then everything forward. So if I want to move everything over from the beginning, I'm just going to select this and move it forward like so. You can see that right now I have snapping on, so it's snapping, it's sort of jumping forward to that edit. There's that magnetism. If I don't want that, if I want finer control, I can turn snapping off, keyboard shortcut S, and now as I drag, I have that finer movement. Okay. Now, to turn off Track Select Forward, I can either come back up to my selection tool and choose that, or just use the keyboard shortcut V. And so when I have my selection tool enabled, I'm just selecting individual clips rather than all of the clips to the right. However, I do actually want to create two additional gaps. You can see that I've placed a teal marker here and here. And so I just want to create gaps in those two places. So I'm again going to press A, Track Select Forward, and I'm going to just create a smaller gap here, and then one here as well. Okay, so we've sort of sectioned things off, opened things up, and of course we may change this as we keep honing the sequence, but it really is good to feel the pacing and the cadence at this point. It's about understanding and respecting the flow of the sequence as we move from one topic to another. All right, so I'll press V to get my selection tool back, and let's take a look at what we want to do next. All right, I'd actually like to begin just swapping some of these shots around. This first example, just zoom in a little bit here, I would like this to come after this shot, so I want to transpose the position of these two shots. Now, if I just simply select this and drag it over, it's going to overwrite, not what I want to do. Instead, I need to add a modifier to that. And before I actually perform the swap, I want to make sure that snapping is turned back on. We don't want to create a flash frame. So again, snapping is right here, keyboard shortcut S. And now I'm going to add a modifier to that drag. And on a Mac, that's Command, and on a PC, that's Control. So here I'm going to Command drag, and you can see that I have my little white triangles that's telling me that I'm extracting it from one spot and inserting it into another. And then when I release, you can see that I've transposed the position of those shots. All right, and we'll do the same thing here. Zoom in. And I would like to just transpose the position of these shots, and I just want to show you that you can do it the other way too. I'll go ahead and grab this shot and then Command drag over to the left and release, and there we go. All right, just one last thing to show you when it comes to swapping shots. So far, our sequence is very simple. We have one video track and one audio track. I'd like to come to a sequence where we have additional video and audio tracks, and that is this one right here, the swap example. And as you can see, this sequence has a lot more going on. We've got additional video B-roll, we've got additional audio, we have music. We're much further along in the process than we've actually learned. But while we're talking about swapping shots, I did just want to show you this example in some context. All right, so I have these two shots here, and I've decided that I want to swap them. If I performed that in the way that I just learned, by simply just command dragging, like so, I want to show you what happens. All right, so I have these unwanted gaps that are created. The extract and insert behaviors don't work in this case because of all of my other tracks. So let me undo that, Command Z. And so if I just want to transpose these shots and leave everything else alone, I just need to add one more modifier to that. So on a Mac, that's Command Option drag, and on a PC, that's Control Alt drag. And now you can see that my little white triangles are only on the tracks that I'm actually interacting with. Okay, so I'm just going to drag and drop and release. You can see that the shots are transposed and then everything else is left alone. Okay, I've only moved the shots on the actual tracks that I've interacted with. So that's a really useful extra modifier, especially when you do have a lot of material in your timeline and you want to perform a local shot swap. All right, so that is a glimpse into moving things around in the timeline in Premiere Pro. Now you can create gaps and perform swaps in various ways.